a very interesting development is taking place, and to bring some perspective and clarity, we welcome Mtima Solwazi, founder of the Oral Tradition Roots Foundation, and is to treat with the non-profit organizations and some of them facing cancellation. Mtima, I want to thank you for the time, and I look forward to our discussion this morning.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Mtima, is this a compliance issue? Because I would imagine every nonprofit should know that they have to submit certain paperwork, certain fees by a particular time. There must be a level of transparency. I'm trying to figure out how it got to this. If you could give us some clarity.
Right. So the picture you all had up earlier to introduce this segment, right? It is a notice of intended suspension and cancellation. Now, when you look at that, so let me answer the question first. Yes, all of us have compliance to follow, right? When you look at this notice, you are seeing Section 21C of the Non-Profit Organizations Act, number 7 of 2019, and failure to file annual return. Now, therein lies the challenge. All they had to do is include failure to file annual return form 6, because every NGO will have to file an annual return, which people do. It is filed on the anniversary date of your establishment, when you establish your organization. Now, what the government did in October 2024, they introduced Form 6, right? And operating on route, and I don't want people to feel that NGOs not being compliant. Most of us, if not all of us, are being compliant. So people will be filing the Form 29 as usual, unaware that they had to file the Form 6 along with the Form 29. This notice came up. I got an email on Monday saying I have 2 weeks to file my Form 6, or else it will be struck off the system. I contacted my accountant. I said, what's going on here? He said, no, we already filed. Because when you file the Form 29 is filed online, they would usually send you an email saying your annual returns have been filed. All we are asking for in the NPO sector is to have some more communication with us, because you cannot tell me, Jason, over 3,000 NGOs in Trinidad and Tobago didn't know what they had to do. And from the time you are seeing people filing their Form 29 and not filing their Form 6, that should raise some red flags and send out proper communication, not 2 weeks, for over 3,000 NPOs to file, at least they get struck off the system.
So let me ask, for those looking on, could you explain what information is required via the Form 29 and what's required via the Form 6? Because again, there are many who do not know the inner workings of NGOs, of non-profit organizations, and I know lots of resources that's given to some of these NGOs are from indeed government. So I guess they want to ensure that there is transparency and full accountability with taxpayers' money.
Yes, and it's fair enough. So the Form 29 is actually the annual returns for a non-profit company incorporated. So when you are setting up a non-profit, you will go through the registration which was called an NGO, right? It would have been incorporated. So most of us, if not all of us, would have been incorporated. Then the NPO Act came out in 2019, and all of us now had to re-register as an NPO. Now, the annual returns, you have the name of your company, registration address, date, information on your corporate tax file number, your national insurance system, if you have the anniversary date, list of your directors, right? So basically, that is the annual return for the incorporation of a non-profit.
That's the 29.
The NPO, that's the Form 29.
Right.
The Form 6 will have similar information, but the Form 6 falls under Section 21C for the non-profit. So that is the Non-Profit Act now of 2019. The first one was the Incorporation Act, and in 1995 was that act, right? Form 29. This now is the new one, the non-profit, which came into effect in 2019, but Form 6 came into effect in October 2024. Similar information, name of company, number, address, date of registration, your controllers, your directors. The only difference with this form, they're asking for your beneficiaries, right? So let's say for a sporting body, football, your beneficiaries will be youth, young footballers, or the case will be your footballers, right? A religious organization, your beneficiaries will be your parishioners, your members, right? So that's the only difference in the Form 6. But the thing is, when this came out, I was confused, and it's over 3,000, Jason, and you call an NGO that you are familiar with, they on the list to get struck out, right? The challenge we have is that, hey, this should have been communicated to us clearer.
Okay.
Right?
So it's really a communication issue?
Listen, yes. And it's a lot more to it. It's how the civil society sector is viewed, not just by government but by private sector, right? Jason, listen. I spoke to a colleague yesterday, and he told me, Mtima, civil society is about doing good work for the people and for pushing for change that is needed for better, right? The challenge is, over the years, which is not a problem, there's a lot of governance and regulations that have been applied to the NPO sector, which is good. But here what that causes now, the reality now is that the purpose of civil society gets lost in governance, administration, and survival versus advocating for change, which is our initial purpose.
Yeah.
Right?
No, well, Mtima, I wonder if some of this bureaucracy is based on people probably dropping the ball and using NGOs as a cover for personal gain. And I guess they're trying to kind of weed out the bad actors within the space.
Probably yes and no, but the thing is, when I saw this notice, I went through, Jason, I will send you the link to go through that list. You will be surprised. I started to contact NGOs that I know. And the first response was, this does not apply to us because we already filed our annual return. All they had to say, not Form 29, Form 6. That is all, Jason. That is all, Nathan.
Yeah.
And that would have solved, Jason, you cannot tell me your entire class failed an exam. That is on you, not your class.
Yeah.
Let's be real, Jason.
Yeah. And when we consider NGOs, right? When we consider NGOs, so like obviously Roots Foundation, is Arrival live on some of these? Give me some brand name NGOs we're talking about. Is Arrival live on others inside that conversation?
No, hello, you name an NGO. No, it's public information, so you could go on the website and check it out. Anybody in the public could check it out. And I'll just share at an NGO that is close to all of us. Jason, I saw all of 72 police youth clubs earmarked to be struck off. I called Shabodi the night. I said, Shabodi, you know about this? He said, no, what is this? I said, hold on. Let me go through the list. And I got 72. So why are you trying to struck out 72 police youth clubs? Let's be real.
Yeah, that is counterproductive because the police youth club, they provide, I was part of the police youth club and I can tell you, it gives a nice avenue, a tremendous avenue for the young people.
You know, and as I say, for an NGO, whether it's serving all whether you're living in the water, whether you feel good, you name an NGO on the list. And a lot of these NGOs, well, hello, you have the faith-based organizations on the list. What is Allah, Jesus, Rastafari, Hindu, you name it on the list. Sporting bodies.
So how could we, as we need to wrap things up, how could the NGOs solve this? I guess it's just to follow the form. What is there a deadline? Once you do it, put in a certain time frame.
Right. So
all as well?
Now, you have before the 27th of April to file.
That just now?
Right? Yes. That's the challenge. The 27th of April. If you don't file by that date, your NGO will be suspended for 30 days until the 27th of May. And on the 28th of May, it will be struck off. Now, all NGOs have to do, get the Form 6. It's not a difficult form to complete, right? And the thing is, this is why we are ready to because we comply. Just make the information clearer, you know? The registry needs to communicate clearer with the NGOs.
Yeah.
Because we comply, Jason. Root Foundation comply. And I know, as I said, everyone I spoke to, Mtima, we already filed. I said, no, not Form 29, Form 6. Next question. What is Form 6? Come the man, Jason.
Well, Mtima, I'm happy.
3,000 NPOs can be asking, what is Form 6?
Well, I'm happy the information is now out, and I'm hoping the NGOs who might be, going through some issues, they're able to get some clarity. How can they contact you, Mtima, if people want to continue this conversation?
Oh, well, you could contact me at 479-4510 or check us on Root Foundation on our social media. Because I've been pushing this on since Monday.
Excellent.
Now the NGOs posting on our social media pages, right?
Excellent.
Because this is serious, Jason. We cannot lose a vital body such as the NPOs.
Of course.
You know, we do human service in this country.
No, definitely. And that's why we ensure we get the information out. Mtima, keep us posted. Keep us posted as we get closer to the deadline date. All the best, Mtima.
Yeah. Yes, thank you very much, Jason.
You're most welcome.
Nice having you back.
Yes, man. Great to be back in the seat. And let me tell you, that's an important conversation. And again, this speaks to all the NGOs, the non-profit organizations that continue to do great work in the community. It's a compliance issue, as a lack of communication issue also, but we want folks to align themselves, fill out that Form 6, and keep your organization going so you could continue the great work that you have done over the years. Let's take that final pause before the 7 a.m. news update. Some information, some housekeeping after these. See you soon.